USC escapes the Coliseum with a 41-35 win over Cal to improve to 8-1 on the year. Caleb Williams is putting together one of the most special seasons by a quarterback in USC history, and the defense's regression continues as they turn in their most embarrassing performance of the year. We'll talk about all of that and more in this week's Trojan Game Review. Hey guys, welcome into this week's game review. Thank goodness we have Caleb Williams. This game really illustrated where we would be without him. He won this game for USC. For the third week in a row, he showed us all why his nickname is Superman. And boy oh boy, this defense sure is something, isn't it? I'll be honest with you guys, that was the most embarrassed and disappointed I've been in a USC defensive performance in a very long time. It was very deflating to see them come out and perform like that against an absolutely anemic offense. There are some very worrying trends that are starting to develop with this defense that unfortunately overshadow the greatness of Caleb Williams and Michael Jackson and this USC offense. Now, just a few notes before we get into it. Since USC plays Colorado on Friday, the game preview will be out on Thursday, and I will also have a video up tomorrow recapping USC basketball's first game of the year against Florida Gulf Coast, so be sure to check those out if you're interested. Now that that's taken care of, let's dive into the review, and as usual, let's start with the offense. Now, this was another very impressive but incomplete performance from the offense. There were some key drops, particularly the Taj Washington one on third down, that really helped to stall out some Trojan drives, but that's where the negatives end because we need to talk about Caleb Williams. What Caleb is doing is absolutely unprecedented in USC history. I mean, guys, he's currently sitting at 32 total touchdowns and only one turnover of any kind. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that that's absolutely crazy. And he put the team on his back in this one, going 26 of 41 through the air for 360 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks. He also added 38 yards and a score on the ground as well. Just an insane day from Caleb, and honestly, this is just what we have come to expect from him. Danny Cannell tweeted that it should really be down to Caleb and Drake May from North Carolina for the Heisman, and I agree with that 100%. Caleb is just playing at a different level right now. Different even from the likes of a Matt Leinart or a Sam Darnold. He is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country, and we really are lucky to be able to watch him play for our team. Another solid outing for Travis Dye, running the ball 15 times for 98 yards and a score. He really is the most consistent player on the team. He showed great vision and burst on that touchdown run. Austin Jones and Rayleigh Brown were virtually non-existent in the run game. It really was the Travis Dye and Caleb Williams show in this one. Okay, we need to talk about Michael Jackson. He is who we thought Brendan Rice was. He has big playability. Watching him pull away from the Cal defense on that screenplay was awesome. He has really emerged as a true playmaker for this Trojan offense. Although he needs to work on reading his blocks, because if he would have gone to the outside of Caleb Williams on that reverse play, he might have scored. But when Mario Williams and Jordan Addison come back, I think Michael should be inserted into that starting lineup over Brendan Rice. Michael finished this game with 5 receptions for 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. A great day for Taj Washington as well. He finished the day with 7 receptions for 112 yards and a touchdown. He has really stepped up in the top 2 guys' absence. It was also great to see Terrell Bynum haul in 7 balls. He's someone I thought would have had a bigger role this season. Obviously, the injury he sustained hampered a lot of his production, but it's great seeing him get some run at this point of the year. Now I want to talk about the offensive line. It was a different unit again that was playing in front of Caleb Williams. And with Bobby Haskins being out at that left tackle spot, it was Mason Murphy who slid into that position, not Cortland Ford, who I assume most people would have expected. Now I think that speaks to both the excitement that the coaching staff has in Mason and his potential, and also maybe the lack of trust and development with Cortland. Talking about Mason Murphy more, I thought he did some really nice things Saturday night. His athleticism really stands out. His play in space is really exciting to see. On that swing pass to Travis Dye, he really got out in front and his mobility was very impressive. He's really showing a lot of good things, and as a redshirt freshman, it's really fantastic to see. Overall, great day from Caleb Williams, a little more punting than we're used to seeing, but the offense is why USC won this game, and Caleb Williams is the reason this team is 8-1. Now moving over to the defense. Do we have to talk about the defense? This was a complete letdown. This was a complete fourth quarter collapse. This was the worst and most inexcusable performance of the year from this defense. After the game, USC defensive coordinator Alex Grinch discussed this defense's performance and lack of progression at this point in the season.
But you're 10 weeks in the season, which, you know, as soon as I say that, you want to vomit. It's some of the issues we have 10 weeks in the season, right? So I don't know if some of these things we can get fixed in 48 hours and 72 hours. You know, we had 11 months to do a lot of things around here. So we got 5 days to get it right for next weekend. So we all got to feel a sense of urgency behind everything we do.
Ever since the Utah game, when the USC defense had that interception called back on that bogus roughing the passer call, the defense has completely regressed from that point on. Guys, coming into this game, Jack Plummer hadn't thrown for over 300 yards in a game. He threw for over 400 in this one. Awful tackling, busted coverages, just a terrible display from this defense. A lot of USC fans felt this was going to be the week that the USC defense got back on track. One of my best subscribers, Rushstorm, left me a comment on my game preview that really echoed what Trojan fans were feeling. He said, "I have a feeling this SC defense will get back on track this weekend." And I mean, it made too much sense. This Cal offense was reeling. The fans were calling for their backup quarterback to get some run, and USC made Plummer look like 2019 Joe Burrow. The big coverage bust in the fourth quarter was particularly frustrating. Seeing Kalen Bullock, who had played a really good game up to that point, completely bite on the fake bubble screen and vacate his zone to allow a walk-in touchdown for Cal was so frustrating and really foreshadowed what was going to happen the rest of that fourth quarter. This team has such a bad tendency to bite on play action or pump fakes. We see it every week. And at this point, a lot of the bad things we are seeing are becoming trends and not outliers. This really makes me question what this defense is going to be able to do against UCLA. Whatever success we see this defense have this week against Colorado is going to need to be taken with a grain of salt, because that offense is bad enough to the point where you really can't take much from seeing this defense have success. Now, I do want to point out Thule. He had a great game, grabbing 2 more sacks to add to what's been an All-American season. Also, the play that Kalen Bullock made on the interception was just elite. He can really cover a lot of ground, and most of the time his instincts are great. Now, I know a lot of USC fans are up in arms and they want to fire Alex Grinch and fire the entire defensive staff, but the fact of the matter is that the defense did not get the talent infusion that the offense got. There were a few nice additions this offseason, Eric Gentry in particular, but this defense just doesn't have the horses, guys. In my opinion, it's not fair to talk about firing Alex Grinch when he's working with the players that he is. I think he deserves the opportunity to bring in his guys that fit his scheme. But overall, not even close to good enough from this USC defense, and a lot of work needs to be done before we get into that UCLA game. Now, just some final thoughts. I'm happy with the win. Being 8-1 is fantastic, especially coming off of a 4-8 season. However, I'm not satisfied with this win. I just can't get past how bad the defense looked. It's very worrisome. Eric Gentry is clearly extremely important to the overall play of this defense. Hopefully he can play a little against Colorado to shake some rust off before UCLA. How could I forget to mention we saw 2 more special teams gaffes in this one, both with the botched snap on the PAT and the onside kick recovery by Cal. But Lincoln Riley was very clear that he will not be having a special teams coordinator this year or next. So anyone who wanted that to happen, don't get your hopes up. I don't think it's going to happen. However, I do think it's very important that we all appreciate what we are witnessing with Caleb Williams. He's a special, special talent, and we are all so lucky to be able to watch him play every Saturday. Alright guys, that'll do it for this game review. Thank you all so much for listening. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Fight on. Man, did I miss this. Boomer.
It's been just like you would expect. The fire hose is fully inserted in my mouth here, and we've been blowing and going, and so do not commit. Like, I want to make sure that you know that you know that you know that you know that you know. So I say, will you marry me? You say yes, and we get married. And we've been blowing and going, and so